This is Never Sleep Again.
Your source for sci-fi and horror movie reviews.
I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Veronica.
And today we're going to review the 1993 horror movie, Leprechaun.
Yes, yep. Just in time for St. Patrick's Day.
In time.
It's just right around the corner. Thought this would be an appropriate movie. So, as always with our reviews, there are spoilers. And if you haven't seen this movie by now, I don't know why you haven't seen it, but it's a pretty old movie at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We encourage you to check it out. If you haven't checked it out, you can still stick around and listen to the review.
I mean, you clicked on this video for a reason, so you might as well just kick it with us.
Right.
We know you love us, and we love you too.
Yeah.
So,
and also, do us a favor, give us a like. Go ahead and follow us. That would be a big help to the channel, and we greatly appreciate all of those who do.
Yeah, so let's get right into it. So the movie starts off with an old man named O'Grady, and he has something in a suitcase. It's the leprechaun in the suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
And he caught the leprechaun while he was in Ireland, and he has the leprechaun's gold coins, and one thing leads to another. He after bringing him home, one thing leads to another, and he ends up getting out of the case, killing O'Grady's wife.
Mm-hmm.
And O'Grady, we see him pull out a 4-leaf clover, and he traps the leprechaun in a crate and tries to burn the house down.
Right.
The leprechaun uses leprechaun magic and prevents him from burning the house down.
So he survives.
He survives. The leprechaun survives and is trapped in that very basement for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward 10 years, we get Jennifer Aniston in her film debut.
Mm-hmm.
That's a cool piece of trivia for you. And from there, it follows Jennifer Aniston as a character named Tori.
Mm-hmm.
Tori's father, whose name is JD.
Yeah.
And then there's Nathan, who's a handyman who's painting on the house.
Mm-hmm.
And Nathan's younger brother, Alex, who's 10 years old. And their friend and co-worker, whose name is Ozzy.
Yeah.
And so the four of them end up going toe-to-toe with the leprechaun, and and then the rest of the movie is the chaos that usually comes with the leprechaun movie. There's again, if you haven't seen this, where have you been?
Watch it. We're not going to go into any more.
We're not going to go into any more
synopsis. Check it out.
It has endless sequels.
Yes.
So you had to have heard of one of the sequels.
Check those out also. We're not going to get into those today.
Watch all of them.
Yeah, watch all of them. Have a lot of fun. We're just going to jump right into what worked for us, what didn't work for us. We're going to start with you today. What worked for you with the Leprechaun?
Well, the very first thing would be the 90s nostalgia, of course. If you grew up during that time, when you play this movie, you're going to immediately just be reminded of how the movies looked back then. It's a little bit grainy.
Yeah.
At times, the camera work looks just like how you remember back then, especially depending on where you choose to watch this movie. It's either gonna look more or less just that kind of grainy 90s aesthetic.
Even like the scoring, like the music during different scenes,
different sound effects. The over-the-top acting, everything is there. So if you like that, then this movie's right up your alley with that. I like that the story is simple. They give you a simple story, and the setup is great. It's very simple. The leprechaun is looking for his gold. People either have mistakenly or deliberately stolen his gold. He wants it back, and he's going to get his gold back by any means necessary. It's great. It's very, very simple. I appreciated that they don't make it too complicated with his motivations. So you're given the motivation, the setup for the story. You're given the points of conflict. Everything you need for a simple and a good story, in my opinion. The leprechaun himself was something that I enjoyed about the story. The Leprechaun is played by legendary actor Warwick Davis. Some of you may remember him from Harry Potter.
Yeah, one of the goblins.
Definitely, definitely. He's definitely the. I think it might have been called Grip Hook or something like that.
Oh, his name. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, he's entertaining in that movie, and he's entertaining in all of the Leprechaun movies.
He's great.
He's great.
He puts his all into his performance.
Puts his all into the performance.
Yeah.
If you're only watching the movies for him, you can't go wrong. Mm-hmm. You can't go wrong. Because I'm going to warn you, a lot of these movies, including this, will get very cheesy. But the Leprechaun himself makes it very, very entertaining. Yeah. He's got jokes and limericks and puns. Basically,
the puns.
You would basically,
puns galore.
Yeah, and you would basically call them dad jokes by now. There's a scene where he kills a guy with a pogo stick, but the end of the pogo stick is sharp, and he kills the guy with the pogo stick. Then he shines the dude's shoes. He shines his shoes, and he's like, "Oh, okay, there you go. Oh, don't worry, you'll bounce right back."
Yes.
So, because he used the pogo's shut
right. Yeah, we get it. We get
it.
But it was funny.
Right.
Fun little moments.
Right.
I agree with you.
And it has an original. It's an original theme, in my opinion, especially for the time. This is 1993. So pretty much the main horror movies that we had, the main icons by that time is like Jason, Freddy,
right?
Maybe Michael Myers.
Yeah, Mike Myers.
And we had by then we had Chucky. We had Chucky by then, but at the time we didn't have anything like Leprechaun. At the time. You didn't in your mind, especially not a lot of people know about some of the dark lore behind Leprechauns. Most of us at the time, we only really knew about Lucky Charms and fun stories. It
was always lighthearted.
Right, it was always lighthearted, especially if you celebrated St. Patrick's Day at school as a kid. What they told you about leprechauns were that they were cute and fun, and that they want to help you find the gold or something like that, or they didn't. When I saw this as a kid, I was mostly scared because I was only used to hearing stories about nice leprechauns.
Yeah.
So this is very original for its time, and so those are the points that worked for me.
Okay.
What worked for you?
I'd have to agree with you on a lot of the points you made.
Yeah.
I feel like you were reading my notes because especially there's a point you made about the story. I'm just joking.
I definitely did not read her.
But it's like, you look at this movie, it's a kind of cheesy horror movie.
Right.
But like underneath, it's actually a pretty decent story.
It's solid.
Pretty solid. You could tell it was well thought out. There's a beginning, a middle, and end. There isn't a whole bunch of just nonsense thrown together. It's a very cohesive story. Very complete.
Very.
Looking at it with new eyes, because I haven't seen it in some years now.
It's been a while.
Right?
It's been a while now.
It's like, okay, this movie is actually pretty good. Now, I can't say that for the sequels, but, the first one, definitely a solid film, in my opinion. I thought the acting was good. Alex, he was the brother of
kid,
Nathan.
the 10-year-old.
10-year-old. His acting was good. Like, I wasn't that annoyed with him at all. I thought everyone was solid. So
all the characters were cool, fun to watch. It's funny to watch Jennifer Aniston in this movie.
Oh, I know.
It's not the type of movie that you would think that she would be in, but here she is.
There she is.
Yeah.
So
she didn't phone it in though. She didn't phone it at all. She was really solid in this.
Yeah. But I guess because she does have like a history of comedy acting, and so it kind of does make sense in that way when you think about it. Like horror, no, but the comedic aspect of the movie.
You know what they need to do? They need to have her come back Laurie Strode style. Ooh. Just her versus the Leprechaun.
I would watch that.
I'd watch it.
That would be great. Yes. Come on. Somebody make that happen. That would be awesome, actually.
Just take the credit card to slam it. Take my money. Take my money.
Yes. I would totally watch it. Well, the story. I like the story. I like the relationship between Alex and Ozzy. They had like a nice, like it was kind of brotherly, their relationship.
Right, it was.
They looked out for each other. They took care of each other. We encourage you, again, watch the movie so you understand the personalities of the characters.
And the context.
Yeah. And so it was nice. It was nice. They looked out for each other, took care of each other. And even more, I kind of felt like their relationship was even more...
It's more entertaining to watch.
It was more entertaining to watch, yes. And I felt like it was almost a little more meaningful than Alex and Nathan's relationship, which is interesting. Right, seeing as they actually were brothers. But I liked it. We had a lot of cute scenes with just the two of them. And so that was nice. That was nice. I did also like that the story, how it brings the cast of characters together. Again, this kind of goes along with how I feel about the movie as a whole and how I feel like it's a solid movie. We have Jennifer Aniston and her father. They show up in the scene and we get to meet Nathan. We get to meet Alex and Ozzy, and then it just takes off from there. And so, I liked it.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of like a zombie horror movie where the characters, you might have couples or you might have like a small group of people that know each other, but all together, the entire cast, they usually don't know each other, but they have to come together to, for a solid purpose, for a single purpose.
And it happens very quickly.
I agree
with you on that. I see where you're going.
Yeah. And then they have to kind of overcome whatever the challenge is by working together, even though they're just getting to know each other. So right. I thought that was nice.
And they did that expertly in this movie. Like we said, if you haven't seen it, you really should.
Yeah. So that's it for what worked for me. There are other things, but those were the points I'd like to point out. We're going to move on because I really want to know what didn't work for you with this movie.
Okay, so I'm laughing because what did not work for me, right out of the gate, this is a very cartoony movie. It gets, all the characters at some point, they behave like cartoon characters, and the movie takes things a step further, and it pretty much becomes a cartoon with the Leprechaun's antics. Now, some of these things are a result of the Leprechaun's magic, but then there are other things that happen with no explanation.
Oh my god!
For example, the Leprechaun crashes into a fence, and it leaves a body print like that's like something out of Looney Tunes, right, or something, or like a Tex Avery cartoon. So some of you that are watching might be way too young to remember Tex Avery or Looney Tunes or something like that. But he's just like, you see his imprint there, and he gets up, and I'm like, man, the only thing they're missing is like the birds floating around his head and tweeting, and so like that, I appreciate it. I think it's funny, but it presents itself as a serious horror movie at first, just to put something so ridiculous into the movie. So that part kind of killed the mood for me, because it's just like, all you see is his body print in that fence. I couldn't believe
it. I'm just like, that is so not going to happen, but they exist in a world with leprechauns, so what do I know?
Right. The next thing I had to put it on there. I had to put it on my dislike list of, what didn't work for me. Even though it's a little unforgivable, it's the cops. The cops are really dumb in this movie. Now, why that is somewhat forgivable is you have to remember that this is 1993. So when you're watching any 90s horror, you're going to have to understand is everybody's stupid. All the characters are going to make really dumb decisions, things that you would probably never do in real life if you think that something or someone's trying to kill you. The way the cops respond to that call is not in any way that cops would respond to
No.
a distress call. And we grew up in the 90s. So we remember, alarm systems going off by accident, or somebody calling the cops by accident, or a kid playing around with the phone, and a squad car would come out to where you were immediately, unless you lived in the woods or something. And even then, it would take them a little bit longer, but they would go to the location. These cops just brush it off. They want nothing to do with it. So I thought that was, I viewed that as a sin for the movie.
I agree.
Some of the special effects are really cheesy.
Yes.
Even for the 90s, you have to understand that horror had come a long way. By then, you had very convincing xenomorphs from that franchise. You had some very cool effects, practical effects in the 80s for A Nightmare on Elm Street, like with the blood and whatnot. Some of the blood and effects in this movie seem very, extremely low budget.
Can I point one thing out though? I agree with you. I definitely, especially with, like the computer generated graphics that they use. However, at the end, with the practical effects when, spoiler alert, the leprechaun.
When the leprechaun dies.
Exactly. Melts, explodes, whatever.
Right.
Those were some pretty interesting
That was really
effects.
good.
Yeah.
So that's why the key word here is some.
Yeah.
Some of the special effects. To be honest, they could have left a lot of those effects out altogether. And it would have made a bigger impact when we see the cool effects at the end.
Right. They didn't even need those.
Right. They really didn't
add.
It didn't add to the movie or anything. So yeah. So those are my dislikes. Not a lot for me this time.
Well, as far as what did not work for me, you mentioned character decisions. There were some character decisions that I did not agree with, like JD, Tori's father. In the beginning, they think that they think that a cat scratched Tori on her leg. They didn't see what did it. It was under a car, and then they hear some rustling off to the side. And they go to where it is, and they think it's a cat because, it's making cat noises. And it's down a tree stump. And so, what does JD do? He sticks his hand down a hole that he can't see the end of.
Without even looking.
Just reaches in there. Dumb. Yeah. Obviously, it's the leprechaun. Like, the audience knows it's the leprechaun. Nobody else does. And he bites his hand. And so I'm just like, even if it was an animal, why would you just reach your hand down there?
Right.
Anything could happen. The animal could have rabies. Just poor decisions. And I felt very dumb decisions. So there were things like that happened throughout.
Dumb.
Yeah. Got a little annoying at times with some of those things that I saw happen. But, I guess that was just kind of a minor dislike for me. But another thing that didn't quite work for me is I did wish that they gave more of an explanation of the leprechaun's powers. Yeah. Because when he got his gold, he was like, I can feel me power coming back. And, like he was getting stronger. And it's like, okay. Earlier in the movie, we saw what he was able to do from an entirely different floor of the house. He gave Mr. O'Grady a stroke. just because he willed it from wherever he was in the house, and Mr. O'Grady was upstairs, and he didn't have to touch him or anything. So
yeah,
he's
a little inconsistent.
Yeah, he's able to teleport. He's able to like just make things manifest, and I just would like an explanation of what he is truly capable of, and it's also like, once he has all his gold, is he at the strongest that he can ever be? Does he have to have his gold for a long period of time?
Right.
Does he just continue to get stronger and stronger? So
did he get weaker because he was down there for 10 years?
Yeah, right? Like,
is that how it works? No explanation.
Wonder. No explanation. So,
it was just reasons.
Yeah, just reasons. Inquiring minds would like to know. Another thing that didn't work for me, kind of along those lines, was just the legend of leprechauns in that world and the lore. Like, how did leprechauns come to be? Were they like us at one point? Are they just mystical creatures that were created somehow? Have they always been here and just been in hiding? Were they nice creatures and, easy to get along with, but humans have disrupted their way of life and always stealing their golds, or they're just like, automatically distrustful of humans? Is that what it is?
That would have been cool. It's they just kind of implied through different conversations that humans are not to be trusted.
Yeah.
That, well, we could clearly see that one guy did successfully capture him. Mm-hmm. We don't know how.
We don't. Yeah.
It had to be. I would assume that how we see the leprechaun behave, that it had to be pretty difficult to capture.
Right,
him,
I would imagine.
Considering that he could just he has like Bugs Bunny powers where he could just where he could just get costumes and get different items.
Exactly, right? It's just weird.
He can mimic a cop's voice like the Terminator.
Right. He can mimic voice. It's just weird. I have questions. Weird. It's like, what is this connection to gold and rainbows?
Yeah. And that old man captured him without a scratch. He didn't have a scratch on him.
He didn't have a scratch on him.
We don't even know how he captured him.
Why do leprechauns like to shine shoes? Like, he was entirely, like, mesmerized and totally, like, thrown off guard. Stopped what he was doing. Stopped everything he was doing. Stopped chasing, our main cast of characters just to shine shoes. What is this? What is this? Why do four-leaf clovers affect them in such a way? It's just... I want to know. So that left me wanting more. I did not like that. And then last but not least, the biting. He bit everybody. He bit everybody.
He bit everyone.
And when someone had like a wound, he was trying to like eat through, like taste the wound. It was just weird. Right. He I don't understand what that is all about. And we see that in future Leprechaun movies too, right? Him biting people.
Yeah, he like bites.
What is that?
I think it's the second one where he bites this guy's toe off.
Yeah, right? Something like that.
So, but he bites through his shoes, so you see a bite. You see a print, like, you know how you bite into a sandwich and there's that bite print. That's what the dude's shoe and foot looks like. He bites through the boot, gets his foot and everything.
What is happening? I want to know. Like, we would like to know, please. Somebody, maybe you can tell us in the comments.
Before we're just laughing and unable to finish this.
Yes.
Let's give it a final rating.
Yes, okay. So, why don't you go ahead? Tell us, based off of our rating system, what would you rate the movie?
So, again, we try to, with these older movies, we try to go back in time to give our rating. So we try to look at it as if we went back in time and this is a theatrical release. Even if any of these movies were straight to video, we look at it as, what if this were a theatrical release? Yeah. Would we go to the movies to watch it? I would say if there was a way to stream it back then, I would say stream it.
Okay.
Why? And I would want to give it a high stream it.
Got it.
A high stream it. Why? Because it's entertaining. It's very entertaining. Warwick Davis is great. Jennifer Aniston is great. The other actors are also great.
Yeah.
You won't be bored watching this movie. if you own this movie, dust it off and watch it on St. Patrick's
Yes.
Day or beforehand. Put it somewhere in the celebration. You will not be disappointed.
No.
What do you give?
Okay. I actually was going to go with stream it.
Stream it?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. And I'd go so far as to give it a high stream it. I
Yeah.
can't really feel comfortable putting it into worth the money. But
Oh, yeah, no.
stream it, I feel like, is acceptable. Again, you might think about the movie Leprechaun and feel like, oh, you know, trash movie, like just cheesy.
Don't
but
be like
no,
that.
it actually, you know, it's watch it again. After watching this review, watch it again, consider the things we mentioned, and you'll see it's a little more sophisticated than you might think. And so I'd say stream it. I guess if I was in 93 right now, I'd say pay-per-view it.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah,
you know,
I know,
like
right?
watch it on pay-per-view.
Oh, man.
And
pay-per-view.
yes. Enjoy it with some popcorn at home, a Coke, a Little Caesars pizza or something, you know, and just, you know, kick back.
That's right.
Have a great night.
Enjoy.
Yeah. So, that's it.
That's
yeah.
it. That's all for now. You have been watching Never Sleep Again.
Yes. Don't forget,
yeah.
we also
That's right,
have, yes, we have a podcast. If you did not know, now
The
you
Theremin
do.
Chronicles.
Yes. The THEREMIN Chronicles, and it is available on all major podcast channels, also minor podcast platforms as well. And we put up weekly reviews. Right now, we're in the middle of our little mini series of recaps where we are going over the show The Last of Us. So if you are into zombie horror or zombie-like horror fiction, then this is definitely a series you want to check out.
Check it out.
Yep.
And you get to sort of pick our brain
Yeah.
on what we're thinking about it.
Exactly. And, you know, from there, we go on to talk about different topics related to sci-fi and horror. So we have a lot of fun. We hope that you'll check us out there as well.
Yeah. Well, this has been Never Sleep Again. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Veronica.
Stay awake.
We'll never